I am Virginia Harris. I came to Western State College in the fall of 1972. I was hired to be a teacher in the now kinesiology recreation program and run the women's intramural program and to coach sports. I ended up, there were four of us. Two of the ladies were still here from before Title IX, Thelma Murph and Eileen Martin. Shelley McVeigh and I came from Wisconsin, which at that time, the East Coast and I believe the West Coast were further ahead than the central part of the country in terms of women's sports. And Shelley came up from Albuquerque. She was in a school down there. So Thelma Murph, Eileen Martin, Shelley, and myself each were assigned a sport. I had volleyball, Eileen Martin had basketball, Shelley had gymnastics, and Thelma did softball. And in the beginning with my program, we had very little money and we had no uniforms, no money to buy uniforms. And so I went in the back room and found old discarded men's basketball uniforms, and that's what we used. And they had the socks up to their knees, shorts that hung down to the bottom of, or top of their knees, and then shirts that we had to get t-shirts to put under because they were falling off the girls. The other teams that we played were Alamosa and Fort Lewis. It was just a little triangle that we went to each place a couple or three times during a season. We started out in the small gym, which had metal backboards that came up partway, but did not clear the court. We then, and also had to work with the fact that the ceiling was quite low. And so to make it a little bit more fun for the girls, we decided that we would learn to serve the ball into hitting the rafters and bouncing it over to the other team's court because they wouldn't be expecting it to begin with. And so we did that, and of course everybody just got hysterical about it when we tried doing it in a real match. But, and pretty soon, and at that time it was, the girls were just happy to be able to play and compete. And so the other teams picked up on us, so we just kind of bounced the ball off the ceiling for a while. Then we got serious. The backboards didn't, as I said, did not clear the court, and so the other team picked up on that, and so they started bouncing them off the backboards, and so then we had to put in the rule you couldn't do that anymore. The other schools all were much further ahead than Western. There was some resistance on the men coaches here. It was, they were wonderful gentlemen, and I loved teaching with them and everything, but they were not about to allow me, especially, to have, to come into their facility, because I had finally went to the administration and said, we need to be upstairs. The teams are gonna come and protest, and if we don't do something about getting me into the upstairs gym with volleyball and basketball, then they're going to eliminate us from their league. And the Mr. Dorchester, is that right? Said, well, and I will not use his words, but he said, they have no say, I say that. And so we got moved up here. We had to drill holes in the floor, which the basketball coach was just all over me about, and we were outside his basketball court, but it didn't make any difference. He did not like it. And then when he saw that we were going to paint lines in order to get us moving, I said, all right, we'll tape lines. So before every match up here, I had to tape the lines down, and my girls were great. They would help, and other people would help me too. As we went on, we had some wonderful times. We had cars to drive, and there was no one else to drive because I had no assistant coach, so one of my players had to drive. And that did not work out real well because I learned from other players that in the second car they were smoking on their way over to games and things. So I quickly found other women who would drive the cars, and we went from there until finally we got into the vans, which the girls enjoyed quite a bit, being all together, and they could do their homework on the way to and fro and sleep. Our budget was extremely small. Like I said, we gradually worked into being able to buy uniforms, but we started out with very, very cheap uniforms, and then we kept going up. The recruiting was no budget, so I just telephoned girls and used the mail system, and then the girls came over here and I could meet them and we could talk and they could see what they were getting into over here. And as the years went by, the girls became more and more skilled because the high schools were getting into it. There were club teams to go, and I had, for the most part, I had wonderful teams. They were young ladies and they acted like young ladies, but they were terrific volleyball players too. And in the end, I was coaching the 3 sports, so I never got a break till summertime. And that, as I got older, all the travel and stuff, I decided that now was the time to retire from coaching. So I did.